Hi guys, Lynette Zhang, Chief Market Analyst here at ITM Trading, and I'm going to talk today a full-service physical precious metals brokerage house. And I'm actually going to talk today about one of my favorite topics. You guys probably already have been hearing things about the Brexit and how Article 50 was triggered, and you've probably also heard that Scotland wants to do another referendum to break off and stay in the EU and blah, blah, blah. And of course, they're going to make it like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And there are all sorts of things that they'll do around it. But I really want to talk about the real meaning of what's actually happening. And that is that there is a breakdown in the currency peg system. So let me explain to you what a peg is. Let's say that you make $200,000 a year and I make $50,000 a year. But I want to get the same benefits as you, the same credit rating, the same opportunity. I want everybody to think that I'm just like you. So I peg my economy to yours. And you decide to go out and get a big fancy car. Well, you can afford the payments or you can pay cash for it. I have to do it on debt. But when we're driving down the road, everybody sees that we look exactly the same, and hey, since I'm pegged to you, I got that great interest rate. Then you decide to go out and go on a shopping spree. Well, you can afford it, so you go and buy it, but I have to do it with credit cards. I have no other choice. But again, you're wearing this, I'm wearing the same outfits as you, so it at least looks like we're all the same. And then you decide to go to a big, huge trip around the world. Well, I can't afford that. Nobody will give me any more debt. So bam, my economy must depeg from yours. And off you go. And then I'm stuck with all the debts that I can't afford and I have to declare bankruptcy. So generally speaking, that is what a peg is. Now in 48, all of the world agreed to peg their currencies to the dollar because the dollar, the US, agreed to maintain the value of the dollar at $35 to an ounce of gold, and everybody else could send in dollars and exchange them for gold at $35 an ounce. Well, that system could not hold up because the US was printing too much money. So in 71, there was a violent depegging globally when Nixon defaulted on Bretton Woods and took us completely off the gold standard. Okay? So after that, everything was free floating. So it would work like this. If the dollar went up, then the German mark would go down. If the dollar would go down, then the German mark would go up. And they looked like a mirror image of each other. Okay? In the mid-90s, there were a lot of things that have changed. We've talked about that. But globally, countries started to repeg their currencies to either the US dollar or the euro dollar. Well, guess what? In January of 2015, that pegging system began to break down. And I'm going to show you the whole thing using the Swiss francs. Definitely go in, take a look at these graphs so that you can see them a lot more clearly. I know that it's hard to see. But what was happening was the blue line, I'm pretty sure it was the blue. Yeah. The blue line is the Swiss franc. Okay. And you can see over here that it is below that red line, which was the euro dollar. So it was cheaper. If you earned euros and you took out debt in terms of the Swiss franc, it was cheaper for you to service that debt because you just convert the euros into Swiss francs and you'd have a lot more. But you can see on this graph that began to change. And then the Swiss franc became more expensive than the euro dollar. Well, if you earn euros, now that debt became a whole lot more expensive to make those payments, right? So originally, let's say if you took out the debt, it might have cost you $800. But when the Swiss franc got so expensive, that same debt now took you $1,500 to service. So what was happening was there was a lot of defaults. Well, they wanted to stop that. So the Swiss peg their currency to the euro dollar. And you can see in here how they were then just moving right in tandem. They were trying to stabilize those payments and reduce or eliminate those defaults. But I'm coming back to this in a second. In order to maintain that peg, the Swiss central bank had to grow their balance sheet quite a lot. Like it about quadrupled from the time that they did the peg until the time that they did the depegging. And in January of 2015 was when the European Union was about to embark on their massive round of quantitative easing, which they're still in. And the Swiss central bank said, we can't afford to maintain that peg. So they severed that tie in a surprise move. 2 days before that, at the IMF, they said, oh no, we're committed to this, we're committed to this. But look at this violent depegging right here. You see it? Because they couldn't afford it. That was the start of a global depegging, because everything is interconnected. So whenever a peg shifts, whether it's the Swiss franc to the euro, or then in August of the same year, we had a change in the Chinese renminbi or yuan to the US dollar, they changed that peg. It doesn't matter. The whole point is that the system is breaking down. So this whole thing with Article 50 and not a big deal, etc., historically, no pegs have ever lasted because no two economies are ever exactly the same. Germany has a different economy than Greece, and yet they're pegged together in the European Union. That was from the beginning an accident waiting to happen. So I wanted you to really understand what's happening. It is an indication of the system breaking down. In this particular case with the pegs, it's the currency system. And I want to show you one more piece, and that is, regardless of whether the euro dollar or the Swiss franc were weaker or stronger against each other, they're all losing purchasing power. They're all losing value. That's true all around the world. That's why we have to have a reset. We're at the end of this trend, and all of this pegging and depegging is very, very significant. So if you have some questions about it, put it in there, but please share this with everybody and anybody that you know. There's no way around the reset. It's gone too far, but we have a shot. If enough people are aware on the other side of this reset, we can either take the garbage that they're going to cram down our throats, or we maybe have a choice. So that's the point of this. That's it for today. If you have any questions, put them in there. We'll be answering questions tomorrow. Just type them in, and like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and give us a call. 888-696-4653. It is more important now than ever. Bye-bye.